What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Not So Pro Football Talk. We're back at it again. What a great Sunday. I mean, for some people, they woke up super early and it's a little disappointing, but I finally had a great Sunday night. I was super excited. The Niners lost their last three Sunday night football games. They pulled out last night. So great for them. Let's keep on going. What's going on, Nestor? Appreciate you joining us live. But if y'all saw the title of this video is Are the Raiders Done? All right. So they just come off a loss to a struggling Indianapolis team that has a brand new head coach. It's Jeff Saturday. Actually, we talked about the Colts last week, I believe. I don't think you're here, Vince. I think it was Reed and I. But we just talked about the Colts and how they're struggling. They're getting JT back. Will he be a factor? Clearly, he's back. He looked good. Jeff Saturday, I don't know if he did something. I don't know if they gave him some go-go juice or whatnot, but they looked pretty solid that day. The Raiders, talented team, right? They got a lot of talent on there offensively, defensively. They can't seem to get anything going this year at all, which is it's mind-boggling, honestly. What's going on, bro? I appreciate you being here live with us. Uh, always appreciate you guys, you and Nestor. Thank you all so much. But honestly, when it comes to the Colts, what can you expect? Can you blame? I mean, not the Colts, the Raiders. Can you blame the head coach Josh McDaniels? I want to read off something what the owner had to say about Josh McDaniels. He said this quote, I like Josh. I think he's doing a fantastic job. Man, that's why I hired him. We believe in him. We've exhausted search and found the person we believe is going to bring the Raiders to greatness. End quote. Now, that's the goal, right? Bring the Raiders to greatness. One, you move to Las Vegas. That's you're setting yourself up for failure. Besides having that cash in your wallet, you're setting yourself up for failure with distractions. I mean, you saw it last year. Unfortunate events that happened, which don't want to bring up. But Vince, what are your thoughts on the Raiders this season?
They're just so disastrous, that's the only word you can use. They've had injury after injury. They've had guys being cut randomly. I think the Packers are grateful for that because they did cut their pass safety for no apparent reason. I didn't really look into that, but uh, and then their tight end, what's his name? I can't remember his name because he hasn't been a factor in like
Darren Waller, the guy who's
Darren
sitting on my
Waller.
bench.
Yeah, he's been out and now he's on IR.
Yeah.
And then Devonte Adams has been up and down with his performances. Last week he had a great week. This this week, I mean, not so much. It's just they don't have a groove over there, and I don't know if it's Josh McDaniels being their coach, or I don't know if it's the new the city, but everything's just going bad, and I don't know what it is. But I'm not very hyped about them going forward either in the next couple of years.
Years, huh?
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh wow. And it's kind of weird because when you listen to these players and they talk about their head coach Josh, they say they all say the same thing. They all like him. He's a great head coach. He does what he needs to do, but it's not translating onto the football field, or it doesn't translate into their record, especially in that division that they're in. There is no room for error, right? And now there's more than just error, because you could be like the Denver Broncos, where you're just turns out you're not a good team, but somehow you're getting wins. The Raiders, that's not the case. You're a good team. I still believe that they're a good team. They just don't know how to play as a team right now. There's no chemistry there. That they just can't seem to get anything going. Their luck is running out. It has run out. And maybe you're right. Maybe they don't have anything going for them in the next few years. But there's a couple of videos that I want to react to. So if you're listening to us live, if you're watching us live, I'd like for you guys to watch these videos as well and react to it with us. The first one we're going to watch is Devontae Adams. This is post game after the loss from the Indianapolis Colts. Let's go ahead and bring that up right now, and let's go ahead and play it.
What are you feeling right now, Devontae?
Same thing as last week. Same thing as all the other weeks. Pretty much.
Said, after this one, just in terms of kind of moving forward, making sure everybody kind of stays locked in here?
I mean, ain't no magic message. Just, I mean, what basically we're gonna keep what was said in house. Wasn't nothing crazy, but I mean, just we had a conversation we have as a team, and that's kind of that. I don't know. Um,
What's the message from Josh McDaniels been these last couple of weeks?
I mean, it's been the same thing. A bunch of bullshit that just doesn't allow you to move the ball and have realistic shots at converting, and that's where we lived a lot of this year, and that's what happened.
So I mean, so you heard it there, right? It's a lot of BS. It's a lot of stuff that they don't need. You could definitely tell that he's very frustrated with the team, very frustrated with the play calling. Brar has a good question here too. He says their schedule hasn't been that hard. TBH, do you think some of it falls on the QB, Derek Carr? I think it has to. It has to fall on the head coach. It has to fall on the quarterback. It has to fall on the leader on the defense and the guy who's the highest paid player, Devontae Adams, right? It has to fall on those guys because those guys are the leaders, and that's who the people look up to see what's going on. Like, hey, how do we get out of the slump? How do we succeed? So, yes, I do believe the blame has to go on Carr. We've seen games where he just does not perform very well. 2 weeks ago, when Devontae Adams had a horrible game, he didn't produce. Derek Carr had one of his worst games of his career. It was really bad. So, yeah, some of it does have to do with the quarterback, and the remainder of their schedule doesn't look easy. Not at all. They're going to be struggling out here. What do you think about that video that we just saw with Devontae Adams? That was a whole bunch of BS, Vince. What message did he get out of there?
I think he's just frustrated. He came from the Packers where he was the star and he had the ability to be that star every week. He would last year he was one of the best wide receivers in fantasy because he had Rodgers throwing to him, and Rodgers, as we know, as of past times, is one of the best quarterbacks to throw to Devontae Adams or any wide receiver. This year he's had a little bit of a funk, but Devontae Adams has also had a funk. So maybe he's missing the old times a little bit, and maybe he's frustrated with the new times. It does take some time to adjust for sure, but I do think that it does fall on Carr and a little bit on their coach McDaniels, because obviously he doesn't like the offense they're running. He said it there. He's like, the same BS. We're not converting because, and then it cut off kind of. But I'm pretty sure he said we're not converting because I'm not able to get the ball like when I need it. But in my opinion, I'm looking at their schedule from the first 10 weeks, and I mean, I agree with Brar. It's not hard at all. They should have won at least 5 of these games, but they just come up short. And most of the ones that they're supposed to win, they come up short by a touchdown or a little bit more than that. So it's just something that I think is that offense isn't clicking and the defense isn't good either, even though they went after 2 top guys, or they have 2 guys on the defensive ends that are really good. So in my opinion, it's the whole team.
Yeah, no, it is. And I could definitely see the stress on Devontae Adams, especially when you have people like Darren Waller and Hunter Renfro who are dealing with injuries. So it's kind of like obvious where the ball's going. If it's not going in Josh Jacobs' hands, it's they're targeting Devontae Adams, which they should. But that's where creativity needs to come along, right? Devontae Adams, he's a huge deep threat. I like that. That's cool, right? But people can run the ball all the time. I can relate to people like the 49ers, right? Deebo Samuel. He could be a deep threat, but how do we utilize him? We use him in the quick slant. We use him in the backfield. Kind of like what I said with the Tyreek Hill as well. You do whatever you can to get your playmakers the ball. Get the ball in their hands, and something will happen. You'll find success, and that opens up the playbook. So, yeah, Josh McDaniels needs to figure it out, needs to be a head coach, get creative, offensive minded or not. You're struggling, you can't produce points, and you're giving up too many points. So you need to change something. You need to go out there, change something. And this next video, which we're going to watch one more video, it kind of explains a little bit more. It goes more in depth on how these players feel. We're not going to watch the whole thing. We're just going to watch a good portion of it. So, like I said, if you guys are here live with us, I'll love for you guys to give us your feedback on how you think or what you think of the video. This one's going to be Derek Carr. So let's get that one going. Brar says the season is over. I doubt they make playoffs. And that's the thing. When I was making this video, I was putting the description down, right? Like, what can they do to turn around their season? And then I was really thinking, what can they do? Is there anything for them to do? Because one, they're in a division that's tough as rocks, right? They're in a tough division. and they're already so far behind that they're even below. Are they below the Broncos? I don't even know. It's just I feel like it
Mhm.
doesn't matter in that division. If you're not top two, you're done. What do they go for? Picks? I don't understand. But
Yeah,
let's get into the, oh, go ahead.
right now they're 2-7, and the Broncos are 3-6. So they are last.
That's horrible. Yeah. So let's go ahead and watch this video, and then like I said, we won't watch the whole thing.
Sorry for being emotional. I'm just pissed off about some of the things, you know, that a lot of us try and do just to practice. What we put our bodies through just to sleep at night. And for that to be the result of all that effort pisses me off. Pisses a lot of guys off. It's hard knowing what some guys are doing. Like I said, just to practice what they're putting in their body just to sleep at night. Like just so we could be there for each other. And I wish everybody in that room felt the same way about this place. And as a leader, that pisses me off, if I'm being honest.
Derek.
And I don't know if y'all caught that or not, but at the very end, he says, I wish everyone in that room felt the same way. That's huge. That is huge. Is he referring to coaches? Is he referring to, of course, he might be referring to other players. That is, oh, yeah, he got out coached by Jeff Saturday and a struggling Colts team that brought Matt Ryan back after not playing for 2 weeks. That should say something. Someone in that locker room, some players, some people, multiple people, they're not taking this seriously. You're in Las Vegas, a lot of distractions out there. I like Derek Carr. You know me, Vince. I'm a Derek Carr guy, right? And it pains me to see him. Like, it just shows, right, how much he cares. And this was supposed to be the year for him. He's getting his old college buddy back. He's getting Devontae Adams back. They're supposed to go on this crazy ride to the championship, and that just wasn't it. I don't know.
I don't know, man. He's a very passionate guy. I will give him that. He's always been a passionate guy. He's stuck with the Raiders for a long time through the ups and downs, all the stuff that happened last year and years before that when he got hurt and he was having an MVP like season and then he was out. But this year is different. You know, there's something that is getting him more emotional, and it's bigger than football. Of course, it all stems back to football in that locker room and something that was said or something that some people in there are doing and they're not fully committed. This is a new Derek Carr, I think we're seeing here. And I don't know if it's going to benefit them or if it's going to crumble the relationships that's there. I know he says that he's always going to love that city and he's going to give everything to that city. And every week he's going to come out there and do everything he can. But how long can someone actually withstand that when there's guys in the room, whether they're players or coaches or some higher executives? How much can he last with and put up with to still be a Raider for a long term?
I remember he always said that he'd rather retire than wear different colors, right? But I don't know. I don't know if that's entirely true now. But what if it's like someone like the owner, you know? Well, what if the owner doesn't care? I mean, we saw all that happen last year when John Gruden was released by the team. But I, we should look at the signs here. Um, we got a comment that says only McDonald's could take the playoff team, make it better, need a rebuild. Honestly, from what we're looking at, yeah, man, that's what you do because you cashed in this season, right? You kept Derek Carr. You got what Derek Carr wanted. Your quarterback wants something. You went out there, you got it, which is the number one wide receiver in the league. You picked him up. You're paying him pretty darn well. You have one of your top tight ends who's not been performing. You have a wide receiver that rose to the occasion last year, which is Hunter Renfro, and you had a solid defense, and then it just all falls apart. like Vince said, I think there's something going on inside the locker room. Let's look at the signs. You see Devontae Adams getting pissed off. He said that it's crappy. It's a shitty situation, right? Derek Carr, he's getting emotional. I wish people felt like that inside the locker room. You have your owner coming out defending your head coach, and your head coach hasn't said anything, right? You haven't heard anything from the head coach. You release a safety like Abrams, like why? What was the reason? Was there any reason behind it? There's something internal that's going to just be. It's going to explode. It's going to be bad. I just want to say the push. Appreciate you being here live with us, my man. We're talking Raiders today, but thank you for joining us live. Hit that subscribe button if you're feeling generous, buddy. But I don't know, Vince. What can it be?
I don't know, man. Just like you said, they brought in a lot of guys. They had a decent defense going into this. They brought in Chandler Jones from the Arizona Cardinals. Last year, he had a phenomenal season, and he went into a free agency offseason, and the Raiders got him. So he went from the desert to Las Vegas, which is kind of another desert. But they also have Max Crosby, and of course, they got Devontae Adams. But nothing seemed to make them better. I feel like all these additions, and I'm not blaming it on the additions. I'm saying the culture there is not solidified and something is going on. Whether it's them move to Las Vegas or just like you said, whether it goes all the way up to the ownership. He says, I think you talked about this quote earlier, but he says, as far as Josh, I have no issues. And I think that's a little shady, or it's maybe he doesn't care about how the team is doing. He just cares about the money, you
That's
know?
that's what I see, because you should have issues with your head coach, right? I think you're the only person. I could be mistaken from what Derek Carr is saying. You could be the only person in that organization that doesn't have an issue with your head coach losing. I mean, we've seen Matt Rule get fired. We've seen Wright get fired from their teams, and honestly, we saw the Broncos head coach was on the bubble. We saw that,
Yeah.
right? And for Josh McDaniels not to even have a scratch, not a worry in the world, there should be. I get it, right? You don't want to bring down your team. You don't want to bring down your head coach. But at the same time, you're also showing like you really don't care. Honestly, you should have an issue. You should say, yes, there's problems, but I still have full confidence that Josh McDaniels will come out here and do what he needs to do to create a building team. I mean, something amongst those lines. The push says Raiders are dysfunctional. We are like the Lions. The difference between the Raiders and the Lions is the head coach. Now, the Lions haven't proven much, but I love how MCDC is out there. He's involved with the Lions and the team, and he gets in there, right? He gets emotional with the team. I don't know if Josh McDaniels does that much. I saw a tweet. QB cries, coach shrugs, owner. Yeah, coach QB cries, coach shrugs, owner. Okay, that's exactly what we're talking about. Those are the signs that you need to look at. Devontae Adams, he's frustrated. You saw him push a cameraman this season, right? Who does that? A quarterback is on the podium crying. When have we seen that this season? We see it usually at least like once a season, right? But this guy cares about, he loves the Raiders. He preach about it every single year. He loves it. There's no question there. Coach, silent. What's happening? You need to be a leader as well, dude. You're getting paid for it. And the owner, there's no issues. That's oh man. And it sounds like you're a Raiders fan, Push. So I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure you get told that a lot, but hopefully you guys could turn it around soon, just so you can have hopes for the following season, because that division is not going to get easier anytime soon whatsoever.
Yeah, man. I'm looking at the remaining games in their schedule. They've already had their bye week. Oh, see, you got them right there. It's perfect. So they got the Broncos. Then they got the Seahawks, who are going to come off a bye week. They're going to be a little angry. I can talk about that for them because we just lost a game that we probably should have won the way that the other team was playing. But we played it a lot worse. And then they got the Chargers. The Chargers whooped up on them the first time they played against them. I think it was like 32-23 or something like that. So not too bad, but they didn't have a chance to win that game. And then they got the Rams. The Rams aren't looking too hot either, but I mean, if Cup is back by then, off of that ankle injury, I don't see the Raiders functioning well and beating the Rams at home. And then right there, they got the Patriots. Patriots are looking pretty decent, in my opinion. Then they got the Steelers. The Steelers is probably a game they should win, but will they win? I mean, this past week, the Saints played the Steelers, and the Saints beat the Raiders, and the Saints lost to the Steelers.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you got the Niners. AJ can talk about that and preach about it. I think the Niners are going to possibly almost win out the rest of their season, no matter how hard it is. The Niners are looking good. They're looking well-oiled, and they have a lot of guys on their team that are factors in why they could make a championship run again. And then, of course, they got the Chiefs, their last divisional game, and I don't see them winning. They put up a good game, 29-30 the last time they played the Chiefs, but the way it is now, I don't see the Raiders winning more than 2 games at the end of their season.
And that's tough, right? When you have a 17-point lead that just gets decimated, you just can't hold on. You can't finish the game. But I think going forward, like it goes for the whole schedule as well, where there's no, what do you call that? I keep saying it, right? There's no coaching, right? There's no adjustments. Like when it comes to these teams, you got to adjust to their weaknesses. Like for the Chargers, they're horrible against the run. They need to use the stud Josh Jacobs that they have for the games that they've blown 17-point leads. You need to adjust your defense to keep on. They don't do anything. They do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. And that's just not how you win games here. But I'm looking at their future draft picks. So if I'm not mistaken, I got this real quick off a website. They have their own first, second, third, fourth, and fifth round picks. They have a sixth, and they have they got all their draft picks here. So yeah, it's good for them. But what can't, like, I forgot there's that note, right, that said these are the teams that have a possibility of getting a top 5 draft pick or whatnot, and the Raiders might be it. But if you're the Raiders, what do you do? I mean, you need to rebuild completely. I don't think you should go out there and get a quarterback. I think Derek Carr is getting up there in age. Yes, right. I love the guy. I think he's awesome. But do you restart with a quarterback? Do you go out there and get linemen, defensive, offensive linemen? Because like what you said is true, Vince. And you look at their schedule, they got the Broncos, which they just been getting lucky. I hope the Raiders win that game. They deserve to win that game. Then they got Seattle Seahawks, who has just been red hot all of a sudden, and they're going to put up a fight no matter what. And from how the Raiders been playing defensively, the Seahawks should win this game. Don't quote me on that one, all right?
Hey, I'm gonna quote you on it.
Yeah. The Chargers against Raiders. I don't think the Raiders will adjust to their play style. That's another loss right there. Now I believe Rams against Raiders, 2 struggling teams that should be out there. I think this will be a good game, and hopefully this could be a game that the Raiders win. Patriots Raiders. Patriots are they're looking better and better each week. I know they just had a bye week, but they're not a bad team. They're going to get outcoached. The Raiders are. Steelers, another game they should win, but they don't lose by much. They always put up a fight. The Niners finally seem to get the ball rolling. I don't see them losing against the Raiders. I don't see the Chiefs losing against the Raiders, only if they're sitting out players. The push says, I draft Stroud and have Carr mentor him for 1 year. After that season, hopefully he retires on good terms. He said it himself. He'd rather retire than wear different colors, which is awesome to hear if you're a Raiders fan, right? You want someone who's loyal. You don't want any questions when it comes to, oh, my contract's coming up. I'm going to be playing games, kind of like what Aaron Rodgers does or Deebo Samuel. Or you're going to have those guys everywhere you go, right? But it looks like Derek Carr, he bleeds that silver and black. But CJ Stroud, I believe that's who he is, right? CJ Stroud, the guy from Ohio State. I don't like him. I'm a Michigan guy, but he is a talent. I do think he could do wonders. He does need a young team, and Josh Jacobs, he's getting up there in age as well, especially for that running back position. His age is kind of scraping the surface of falling off. but it's everything. But if you have your first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round pick and multiple sixths, multiple sevenths, you can make a huge difference this year. I mean, look at the Jets. Look what they did. That was phenomenal. The push says we beat Pittsburgh and KC backups, bench because they'll all be clinched. I don't know if Pittsburgh will be clinched. Um, I, Pittsburgh is not doing so hot right now.
Yeah, the Steelers right now are 3-6. So I think they play all their players going into the end of the season. I think they don't have a chance to make playoffs at all the way it's looking. But I think Pittsburgh will have everybody out there. KC maybe. I think they're just now turned 7-2. They could possibly in the AFC be locked in at 1 or 2, but yeah, I don't know if they I don't know if they bench everybody either. They're still going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, they'll still be good, but they got a lot of wide receivers out there. But I could see them benching people like, oh, I really hope they don't bench Kelsey. I need Kelsey for the check. So yeah, let's hope they don't bench anyone, right? Says Carr and Adams grew up Raiders fans too. Yeah, that's awesome. And they both went to Fresno State. They're like best friends out there. Want to be a Raider. One became one. The other one finally is a Raider. So what do you do, right? If you have all those draft picks, and I'm not saying you guys are tanking, right? But the way you guys are going, you guys are going to have a pretty high draft pick. You could potentially pull off an LA Ram here. You could potentially pull off. I don't want to say Chiefs because they don't really do that. But let's just say the Rams, right? You can pull off what they're doing, trade away high draft picks, and get some like stud players. Get stud defensive players that can really help you guys out, help you stay in the game out there. And because you already have Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfro, you just need to get the ball rolling. And that high, whatever draft picks you have, spend it on linemen. Get defensive linemen, get old linemen, especially old linemen. They're scarce right now. You can't find any of them. You look at the trade deadline, no offensive linemen were moved. No one's getting rid of them because there's a need for them. But so that's something to think about. But really, that's Josh McDaniels. He needs to think about that kind of stuff. The owner, he's happy with his money. He's happy out there. I mean, he was saving money in Oakland, sharing a baseball field. So he saved a lot of money there. Finally invest into, of all places, Las Vegas, which I still believe they should have gone to San Antonio. Oh well, yeah,
All right, that would
that
have
would
been
have been
cool.
awesome. Oh yeah,
But I agree with you, AJ. But the only thing that kind of doesn't allow me to think that they could possibly do that is their cap space. Of course, there's like all that stuff we went into in the offseason with the Dallas Cowboys having so much money that they could basically get whoever they want. I think the Raiders being in Las Vegas gives them that opportunity as well for those signing bonus things to get behind the cap space a little bit. But the push says defense is in shambles for sure. And that's going to be my point right here, as well as it was your point, AJ. Their defense needs to beef up and get some studs.
yeah.
And I don't know if I, in my opinion, I think they need to do it at the safety and corner position because they've been getting toasted out there. Their defensive line is good. They got Chandler Jones and they got Max Crosby at the edges. That's good. They could possibly get a D lineman who's just big and beefy, some maybe from Bama who can just soak up all those hits and stuff. But they definitely need to go for the outside, the back seven for defense, and the front five, like you said, for the offense. But I don't know if they do it all in the draft. I don't know if they do it by trades. And does it work the next season, or is this a long-term fix? Because they have studs right now, but do all the pieces fit after this next draft? Because they're not looking at Super Bowl this year. Sorry, push, but y'all's chances of making that are like 0.00001. Like it's bad.
Yeah, the defense are in shambles, but you know what? I think the Raiders got a slight win. I think it was today where they went ahead and picked up Jerry Tillery, the guy from the Chargers. He's a defensive lineman, and the word was that they tried to trade him right before the dayline, the date, right? The trade line deadline. That they try to get him from the Chargers, but it didn't fall through. Somehow, some way, he was out there, and the Raiders were able to get him again. So good win for you guys. Chandler Jones, he is kind of disappointing from the season. So yeah, he kind of blows. That's something you guys can look into and trade. So Crosby and Hobbs are our best players on defense. Yeah, yeah, probably much so. But you guys need to apply pressure, right? You're up by 17 points in 3 different games. You lost that. There's no pressure going to the opposite team. So honestly, what I think, if you're going to have a first rounder, which if you guys still trend on this roller coaster on being good, not good, good, not good, you're going to have a mid to high first rounder. Go out there and get a beefy guy like what Vince said from Bama, or I think you should get him from Georgia. Georgia
Yeah.
produces so many great defensive linemen that just go out there and tear it up, man. Um, I mean, that was a first round pick this past year, wasn't it? It was Walker.
Yep.
He went to the Jaguars. I mean, he's
Jags.
doing great, and Aiden Hutchinson is doing great for the Lions. If you guys could apply pressure, use your first round pick, get a defensive stud on the line, and then your second, third round pick, fourth round pick, use those picks, trade them away, get some veterans out there in your secondary, get them in your linebacker core, and just really beef up that defense. I think your offense has a talent to do so, and then use the rest of your picks, your fifth, sixth, seventh round picks on your offensive lineman. It's shown that those late round lineman picks can prove to be great. I know I see that with the Niners all the time. We have a first round pick of offensive lineman. He sucks. Horrible. I can't stand the guy. Mike McGlinchey. And then you have other offensive linemen that go second, third, fourth round pick. There's one for the 6th round who I like a lot. His name is Jason Poe. He's currently in our practice squad, but he could very well take that spot. But yeah. Oh, also Burford. He's a guy from UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio. He's our starting right guard. Awesome guy. You could get those guys in the late round.
Yeah, man. I think I'll let you read this comment first. Go for it.
Oh, he just says I trust Ziegler to choose the right guys. I mean, you got to have trust, right? That's your team.
Yeah.
Your
I mean,
team.
yeah, Dave Ziegler, I was just reading up on him a little while ago before this before this video. He was with the Patriots for a long time. So he made a lot of good picks there, a lot of bad ones too. But that's how it goes with being a GM and drafting and all that stuff. But yeah, I think AJ makes a great point. Some of these smaller late draft guys are the gems. Like I can speak on us too. We've picked up some good ones this past draft, and it's probably been one of our best drafts since the Legion of Boom era. I'm not gonna talk about that. It's not about the Seahawks today, but yeah, like some of these guys, you don't know when you're gonna get them, but you have to be able to see how are these guys gonna translate. And what the Raiders have been doing lately is getting all the studs who are so good in college, but they're not looking at long term and how they're gonna fit into. Like, I don't know if you guys play Madden, but those little puzzle pieces, like they fit the scheme of your defense. Well, all the guys that the Raiders have drafted before they got Ziegler as their GM, they did not fit those pieces. They were just guys who were talented, fast, strong, and of course that's good. You got to have those guys for sure, but you also have to have them mesh together and make a solid defense, a solid O line. You can't just get guys who are plug and play because that's not how the NFL works. It has to be guys who cohesive, work together, who have that knowledge on how to beat certain offenses and certain defenses or whatever pressure they're bringing. But it's hard for sure. I wouldn't like to be a GM for one draft one day. That'd be freaking amazing, but I'm sure I would suck.
I mean, we're GMs every year of fantasy football, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Mondo, appreciate you being here live, my guy. Says, how about them Niners, dude? Finally, we get a win. Sunday Night Football. It was a great win, too. Wow. It was awesome watching them. Catch us live Friday when we do Niner Talk. We talk all things Niners, and I'm really excited to dive into that show. But hey, push Mondo, if you guys are into fantasy football, we do our fantasy football videos live on Tuesday. So join us live tomorrow at 6 o'clock. If you're looking to pick up anyone from the waiver wire, we're doing something different this week. We're uploading a video that's just for the waiver wire picks. So that will be uploaded tomorrow at noon. Go out there, check that out. If you have any questions, leave it down in the comment section below or hit us up live that night, which is tomorrow. But appreciate every single one of y'all being here. Vince, you have anything else to say before we get out of here?
Nah, man,
Okay.
just I guess go ahead and follow all of our stuff, you know? That's about it.
Oh yeah. No, I appreciate every single one of y'all, especially first time viewer, the push. If you're feeling generous, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. And until next time, you guys keep on grinding.